recording? Are we recording? Think we are. Let me check. Technology, hey, what a wonderful thing. Oops. Anyways, right. Hey folks, what's going on? Coach Gav here from Training for Warriors Kildare. So as soon as I get it going, as soon as we get this going, we're gonna go through our nutrition. It's that simple presentation. So the reason why this has come about, or the reason why we're finally getting around to doing this, is that over the last 10 years of coaching people and working with people, I have found that there is an awful lot of confusion, an awful lot of fear, an awful lot of misinformation, and an awful lot of, say, misguided information, I suppose, in regards to people's nutrition. And we now live in the day and age where we've so much technology and so much information and so many sources of information at our disposal that it's really hard to figure out what actually is a good source of information. And what's even worse then is when, bad companies have good marketing and they can make a false promise or a bad product seem like it's the second coming of Jesus or it's the solution to all your problems. So that's where we're coming from with this, because at the core of the reason why I'm a coach is to help people close the window, is to help people overcome their, I suppose, to overcome this stigma or this false idea that to live a happy, healthy, fit lifestyle, that you have to forego, the treats and the nights out and this kind of stuff as well, and that you live off rice and broccoli and you end up having to, you're completely unsociable and it's complete and utter torture. And that in itself is such a lie, because it's not. And nutrition, it's going to be this simple, okay? What I will preface this with is this is what has worked for myself as an individual and as a coach for the first 7 years of my career. And then it's also an advancement on things through my Training for Warriors qualification and experience running the program in Kildare for the past 3 years. So here we go. All right. First up, this may be your first attempt to lose weight, to build muscle, to change how you feel on a daily basis. This may be your first attempt in a long time. This may be your first attempt to do so using our approach. If so, hey, I hope you're well, and if you need anything along the way, honestly, just let us know and we'll sort you out. This may be your first time to say, this is my last chance to do this. This may be yet another time you find yourself saying, this is my last chance to do this. But no matter which of the above you fall into, it doesn't really matter. If you commit to this, you will succeed. I promise you that. So, why is it so challenging then to lose weight, to build muscle, to improve how you feel on a daily basis? Well, it's like this, guys. Every day we take action or we take inaction. And all those choices, whether we choose to act or choose to be inactive, they all add up and they reinforce our good habits and they reinforce our bad habits. No one of us went to bed last night in a good, healthy shape and then woke up this morning and poof, we're overweight, we're unhappy, we're unhealthy, and we struggle with everyday tasks. We went backwards gradually over time. That's the truth. So we're going to climb back on top of the mountain over time too. Now, that's not an endless, never-ending loop of time, but it's going to take a couple of weeks to rebuild things, and then we're going to hit a maintenance phase, and then that's going to take a little while longer. Now, the maintenance phase, as you can see, it's more commonly known as everyday living, all right? But Gav, how can you say this when I just saw, insert a magazine, a source of media, a friend, that will tell you that I could do, insert a crazy claim about a fad, about a detox tea, about, any, shake or pill or powder or whatever, and that you can do it in a really short window of time, a week, 2 weeks, 10 days, 21 days, whatever, and look like a totally unreasonable comparison. So let me go through that again for you. How can I stand here and say to you right now that things are going to take a little bit of time to kind of rearrange your foundations, and then it's going to get a little bit longer to get a good grip on your maintenance, and then we're going to be able to live that lifestyle over and over? How can I stand here and say that to you when you could go down to the shop, you could take out your phone, you could go on the internet, you could go onto Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and you see all these claims of a pill, a powder, a drink that's going to have you losing a load of weight or a load of inches, and it's going to have you looking like this woman or this guy, and it's backed by this celebrity? How can I stand here and say that when all these things are out there? Surely the celebrity's not going to put their name to a product that doesn't work. Surely they're not going to claim that this magic tea or this magic pill is going to do all these things if it doesn't. Okay? That's another day's discussion. But unfortunately, guys, that's just really good marketing, luring you in and telling you something. They're taking a very small statement and spinning it massively. Yes, if you drink that tea, you will lose weight. Because while you're having that tea, you're not having anything else. And that's why you lose the weight. Okay? We're going to come back to that though. But back to what really matters. You and I and changing your life for good. How can I say those things? Well, it's simple. Because you and I today, we're talking about our lives, our habits, fixing things for good. Not just for a summer's trip to the sunshine or a wedding in a couple of weeks or a reunion with the guys or the girls, okay? We're going to fix things so that every trip, every night out, every time you go shopping, every time you leave your house, every time you strip off to get down to it with your partner, yes, that too. Every time one of those things happen in life, you're looking and feeling fantastic, and you've done so without torturing yourself. Now, take a second, close your eyes, and listen to me say it again. We are talking about changing our lives, changing our habits, fixing things for good, not just for a one-off trip somewhere, not just for a one-off night out, not just to squeeze ourselves into an outfit for once. We're going to fix things so that every trip, every night out, every time you go shopping for clothes, every time you leave your front door to go to work or to socialise or to play, whatever it is, every time you strip off at night time to get down to it with your partner, okay? Every one of those times that you are looking and feeling the best you can and the best you ever have. And you will do all that without torturing yourself. So, if you can see why fixing these things for every day, for every week, for every situation, for the rest of your life, and look, I know I just spoke about outlandish claims, but this one here is not one. I can promise you, if you stick to this system and stick to this approach, you will be able to live this day in and day out for the rest of your life with ease. So if you can see why fixing your habits and fixing your situation so that every day, every week, every month, every situation for the rest of your life is important, and it's so important that it's worth investing a little bit more effort, a little bit more time than all these fads you're being promised, then let's get into it, okay? Here we go. So we're going to go into the roar. 164 is a really important number because most people will train for about 3 hours a week. Well, 3 to 4 hours a week, and there's 168 hours a week in total. So the 3 to 4 hours you're with me in the gym doesn't really matter too much. You're there with me, we've got the program done for you, and we guide you the whole way through it, and we have an awful lot of fun doing it. The 164 is really important because that's when you're at home by yourself or with your family or wherever your situation is. That's when you're away from your coach. That's when you got to make the call. You can't just turn around, your coach is there to say, hey, do this, have that. And the into the roar is really important because, and as Martin will explain in one of his motivational videos online, the into the roar story goes like this, okay? With lions, a male lion is pretty useless to be fair, okay? When it comes to hunting and gathering, they don't do an awful lot. They stand there and make themselves nice and big and proud, and they roar loud, and they roar really well. But the lioness is actually the one that does the hunting and gathering, okay? So a gazelle is running and running and running and running. Sees the lioness, keeps going, no problem. Bypass her straight away. Flying along, flying along, fly along. The gazelle comes across the male lion. Male lion stands there, roars at the gazelle. Big, loud, intimidating roar. Gazelle turns around, goes back, gets caught by the lioness, hunted, gathered, done and dusted. If the gazelle had kept going into the roar of the male lion, he'd have most likely have gone past him, gone through him, and kept going. And that's what you and I are going to have to do together. The roar for us is the temptation every day to take the easy way out. Okay? We are going to face that temptation and bypass it. We're going to go into that roar, and the more times you go into the roar, the more times because this is a me and you thing now, okay? The more times you go into the roar, the more times you succeed. And you might believe me now because you've checked out what we've been doing for a while and you see it works. But you will believe me even more, and you will believe yourself even more when you go and put this into use. So the sooner you do this, the sooner you believe it. So before we get into the roar, let me just say this to you, okay? As we mentioned, there's going to be a lot in these few videos, okay? So much that I've decided to break it down into a couple of videos. There's nearly 10 years of study. There's multiple qualifications and courses in training and nutrition. because unfortunately at the moment there's a pretty low barrier to entry when it comes to being a trainer. Anyone can be a trainer seemingly very quickly, and I was talking to a friend of mine earlier about it. You'll see it on Instagram and Facebook. Someone does reasonably decent with losing weight or whatever, and all of a sudden they think they're a PT, they think they're giving people advice. Again, qualifications are important, guys. Okay, so is experience too. So, anyways, and most importantly, I've dealt with nearly, I'd say, at least 1,000 people over my 10 years as a trainer. Real, everyday people, just like you, just like me, and especially in the Newbridge and Kildare area where I've worked for most of my time. And with all the issues that I've gone through with nutrition. So, something you're going through is most likely something that I've dealt with already. Um, and therefore, we have the experience on helping you get over it. And yeah, I do really wish that over those early years in my career, I had logged all those experiences with people, because then it would be so handy just to refer to them right now. But look, we're going to move on. I will include in these videos everything I believe at some point we all need to address and apply when it comes to our nutrition. We'll start off with the foundations, the stuff we all need every single day. Then the further we go into this, the more in-depth it will be, and that information only needs to be applied if you have a good track record of doing the information that comes early in these presentations. So don't worry about what's in video 2 or if there's a video 3, unless you can get your head around what we're doing in video 1. Keep thinking to yourself, is the information I'm reading applicable and suitable for where I am right now? If it's not, you're running the risk of biting off more than you can chew, and then that means we're increasing the odds that we fail. And if we fail again after trying, our confidence and our belief in ourselves will drop. And that's the biggest issue of all here. We don't need to get into a situation where the odds are high of failure and we end up knocking our own confidence in ourselves. That's not good, guys. That's not what we want to do. Okay, so I know it's a massive cup, isn't it? Okay, right. So where do we actually begin? Well, you just heard me say it. Right where you are, right now, at this very moment. Don't wait for a Monday. Don't wait for the first of a month, or don't wait for after a holiday or a night out. Right now, in the words of John Cena, the time is now. What you do is only important. Sorry, what you used to do, what you did in the past, is only important if there was a lesson there from it. What we did in the past, it either worked or it didn't work. And if it did work, why did you stop? I'd have you consider the very fact that you stopped doing it means that it wasn't maintainable. So therefore, it didn't work. And if something didn't work, even at all, why do you keep thinking that it's a solution? Let go of it, guys. Oh, I used to do this in the past, or oh, I did this and I lost the weight. And usually the next sentence after that is, and I put it all back on. That's fine. If you tried something, lost weight, put it on, perfectly normal. That just means that approach doesn't work. Okay? If you try something, that's fine. Try everything. If it fails or you don't do well with it or it doesn't last, get rid of it. Don't keep repeating the same mistakes. You shall not pass. Gandalf from the Lord of the Rings. So before we go any further, I really, genuinely, honestly need you to understand that I need you to open your mind and take the following on board. If you don't, I can guarantee you, not taking this on board or not being open to this will be 100% the reason why we don't succeed in this. So, here's a story. If I put out the scales in the gym tomorrow morning, and on this scales I put 75 kilos of steel plates, then I take them off and I put on 75 kilos of kettlebells. I take them off and I put on 75 kilos of rubber plates. I take them off and I put on 75 kilos of barbells. I take them off and I stand on them myself. I weigh 75 kilos. I'm made up of muscle tissue, fat, bone, organ tissues, and other various things like that. So what do we all see after putting all 5 of those things on the scale? We see the number 75. And why is this story important? Because I want you to be open to the idea that your progress, your growth, the marker of your success has to be so much more than the number under your feet. Because it just isn't detailed enough to tell the difference. The scales doesn't know if I'm stepping on it or if the kettlebells are on it. It just knows that there's 75 kilos of weight on top of me. Okay? So, but what happens if I go 76, 77, 80 kilos or higher? Are all those extra kilos I'm after putting on, are they made up of muscle? Are they made up of fat? Am I retaining water? Am I massively inflamed and bloated? Who knows? The scale doesn't know. The scale just tells us that the weight's gone up. And then by the reverse, what if it goes down? What if I hit 72, 73, 70, 65 kilos? Are all those kilos gone off the scale? Are they fat that I broke down? Or are they muscle tissue that I broke down, an organ that broke down in my body to provide me with energy to do my training and to live my life? Maybe I've shifted water weight. Maybe I've just, the heat, but not been retaining an awful lot of water lately. Maybe it's a drop in inflammation. Maybe bloating that I was carrying for a while, it's gone. Again, the scales won't tell you the difference. The scales will just say, it's now 72 kilos. It's now 70 kilos. So, are we starting to see what the scales is not only a double-edged sword, but it's a very dangerous one to live by? Oh, I'm up this week. I'm down this week. I'm up this week. I'm down this week. Or, I'm just not losing weight anymore. Stop using the scales as your only marker to success. And until you make that decision to stop using the scales as your only marker, there's only so far we can go together. And this is that point. So before we go any further, I need you to commit to you that we're going to look at more than just the scales. And I'm going to show you why. So if we don't use just the scales, what do we use? Okay, we still do use the scales, of course, but we also use tape measurements. We use your clothing size. Because let's be real, there's no better indicator of how well your body shape is changing than the clothes you wear day in, day out. Oh, it's getting tighter here, it's getting looser here. I've gone from a 16 to a 14 to a 12. Or for people looking to put on weight, oh, I've gone from a small to a medium to a large. Or my slacks have gone 32, 34, 36. Okay? Body fat readings are something we do use as time goes on, and we also use our food diaries and energy guides, and we use our Warrior 20 checklist. So those last two there. A food diary is very important because you can see in black and white the progress you make with the meals you eat. And the progress you make with the meals you eat will also be a reflection on how well your body is shaping up. Your energy guides are pretty important too. How you feel first thing in the morning is going to be a very clear indicator on how well you're recovering. If you're recovering well, that means you're getting enough sleep and you're putting enough of the right foods in your body. Good recovery leads to that we can push harder in training, and then we can also grow more. Do you ever notice that when babies, that when they sleep so much, they grow so much in the early days? Yeah, that's because they're getting really good nutrition and they're also getting really good sleep. So, not by coincidence, we as adults need good nutrition and good sleep. The Warrior 20 checklist is important as a sign of progress because the more of those foods we consume, the more nutrients and vitamins we get, means the more good foods we have in our system, which means the more our body shapes up, the more our health improves, the better we look and feel. So yeah, maybe we do need to keep those checklists lying around the house and we can keep an eye on them. Alrighty, pardon me. It's time to focus on leading and not lagging. So total weight loss, a change in your body shape, things like that are what we call lag indicators. And basically that means that they are a result in the future based 100% off of the work you and I do today and in this moment. Hitting your vitamin and mineral intake, hitting your water and nutrient intake, completing your training or your recovery plans for the week, and working on completing your sleep, stress, time management work. Those four things there are some of what we would call leading indicators or lead indicators. And they're things that I get people to focus on week in, week out. And they're basically daily steps and actions and tasks that when they all combine and compound together, they add up to the lagging indicators, your weight loss or your change in your body shape and your habits, lead into them coming true. However, if you're using your lagging goals, so your long-term goal, if you're using that as the benchmark for how you're succeeding short-term or weekly, that's a recipe for disaster. It's a really quick way to ruin your momentum and have you feeling like crap and want to give up. So what I'm saying here is basically week on week, we need to establish goals and action steps you can focus on week rather than getting on and off the scales the whole time. We'll get on the scales in week 1 and week 4, week 8, week 12, and we'll use them and they will be an indicator. So we get on in week 1, we see where we are. We get on in week 4 and we see where we are then. In between week 1 and week 4, we focus every single day on getting the right foods in, getting the right training in, getting the right recovery in. So we still have something to focus on, but the things we focus on daily lead to the things we focus on kind of quarterly or monthly coming true. Alright, now, here we go. It's time for some action. Well, action steps. Alright, first up, your very first step is to keep a food diary. So log your food for about 3 to 5 days. Any shorter, it's not enough of a sample size, and any longer, you're probably lying. Okay, because it's just people can, okay, I can do this for 3 days, I can do this for 5 days. Doing it for a week, people forget to do it, and that's not a good thing. Okay, and when you log your food, it can be as basic as very simply just writing down what you have to eat and drink every day. Now, you want to go a step further, you can add in how much of it you had. Okay, and then you can go a step further again, and you can add in basic portion control. So for that point, I want you to see the hands-on guide, and that will be in our Warrior 20 booklet that you'll go and download, okay, for free. All right. So after that, once you've logged your food, I want you to take out your Warrior 20 sheet or your checklist and compare what you have to what's on the sheet. Okay. Step one, or kind of part A of step one, is to add in more Warrior 20 foods to your daily intake. Okay, that's all I want you to do. Log what you eat, see how well you match up to the Warrior 20. Whatever foods are missing, start adding them in one at a time. Once you have been successfully adding in Warrior 20 foods, now it's time to address the foods we need to cut back on. And I want you to notice the phrase we used there was cut back on, not cut out. I don't want you to be fearful or fantasizing about certain foods or food groups. Oh God, I would love to eat X, but I can't have it. The aim is to be hitting our lead goals, so our daily tasks, so that if we do decide to choose to have a certain food that's not on our plan, we can do so with full power and confidence that, we have things under control. Not guilt and fear of, oh, I shouldn't have had that. Oh, sure, look, I've made a mess of the plan already. Who gives a crap? And we'll keep going down the road. You should be able to go, okay, well, I've been eating well, I've been eating smart for a couple of days. I had a bar, a biscuit, I had a meal out, whatever. Not the end of the world. My very next meal, bang, I'm right back on it. I'm back with my momentum moving forward. Because that is the goal here, folks. To be able to have that power and freedom to go on an impromptu, let's go to the cinema, let's go for a night out. And you can have your drinks, you can have your popcorn, you can have your ice cream, whatever. And it doesn't completely disrupt things. That it's fueling good habits and not bad habits. Okay? Step 2 is to live the Warrior 20. Go to tfwkildare.com/Warrior20 and download the free PDF or the single sheet guide that we have on the website. Or you can email me at gavin@tfwkildare.com and I'll send them over to you. Print them off and keep them around the house. You're going to need them to compare them to your food diaries. I want you to use the Warrior 20 as a guide and a starting point to see if you're getting enough of the good stuff in daily. Very simply, if you notice you're not getting enough good stuff in your body every day, your very first action, above all else, is to add in more good stuff. I guarantee you could, no matter where you are, okay, if you simply start adding in more good stuff, you'll see changes in your health and your nutrition and your body shape. And then the scales will start to show it too. Then as time goes on, we need to go into the next step, which is step 3. You got to get a grip on things. So step 1 was to log your food and compare it to the Warrior 20. Step 2 was to add in Warrior 20 foods and reduce non-Warrior 20 foods. Okay? Step 3 very simply is to apply the Warrior grip portion control. Okay? And if that means you just got to get a hand on it. In our Warrior 20 booklet, you'll see there's a page on portion control where basically we'll show you how to use your hand to gauge how much of a portion you need to have depending on your proteins, your fats, your greens, your oils, and starches, okay, or carbohydrates. And basically you can live off of that then as well. And it's the least amount of portion control we need to do to see progress, okay? Because you can literally just serve up food, take out your hand and look at it. Oh yeah, Gav, what if I've got really tiny hands? Well, if you got really tiny hands, you probably have a really tiny body. So therefore that means you don't need that much of a portion. I'm 29 and my daughter's nearly 5. My hand's a good bit bigger than hers because my body's a good bit bigger than hers. So right now we could both serve up Warrior 20 foods to ourselves, okay? And once Freya is having a relative portion for her size, that's perfectly fine. I eat my size portion, she eats her size portion. And then, she doesn't have an overweight daddy and I don't have an overweight daughter. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, good stuff. The portion control is important though, guys, because it is possible, I should say, to have too much of a good thing. So we need to get a grip, literally. In the Warrior 20 PDF, like I said, you'll find this section on portion control and your hand size. It's really easy, it's really straightforward. There's no scales, there's no grams, there's no formulas or calculations. You literally serve up your food, you look at the different things on it and see, does it match up to the size that it needs to be. If it's not, if it's under, increase it. If it's over, decrease it, and be consistent. Okay? Step 4 is to do it. Keep repeating steps 1, 2, and 3. Log and compare. Make a positive change. And as we said, a positive change could be adding in a new good food or cutting back on some of the not so good ones. And then make sure we just don't go crazy with our intake of stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the main area of success for about 75 to 80% of us watching this video right now. Simply logging, monitoring, adding to, and editing our intake of certain foods will produce a very impressive change in our health, our body shape, and our lifestyle. Now, if we decide we want to go further, we need to do a little bit more work than what we've just discussed. So again, you add first and remove second. Look, I'm going to keep this a short here, okay? We need to shift our focus to adding more of the things we need. We need more nutrients, more proteins, more fats, more good carbs, and more greens. We need more vitamins and we need more minerals. Just because a food is low or high in calories doesn't automatically make it a good or bad choice. A food high in calories but full of vitamins and minerals and things that our body needs, that's a good choice. Just because the food is very low in calories but also low in vitamins and minerals, that's probably not a good choice. Yeah, sure, it might fit your plan, but it brings nothing to the table. You've wasted calories on something that doesn't give you vitamins or minerals, so why are we having it? But that's a big topic, and we're going to discuss that in a separate video. So keep an eye out for the upcoming video on that, on why these things matter. And again, like I said, that's going to relate to our vitamins and our minerals. Okay, we probably will have a better title on it by then, though. So look, this is pretty much the end of the road. For most of us at this point, this is where we're going to stop. Purely because we have to start doing what we've just talked about. Yeah, the information coming along in the future videos is going to be very helpful to you, and it's going to help you make your process or your progress further along in the process. But you may not be ready to take it on board right now, because here's the reason why. I want you completely lost myself for a second. Sorry. Yes, the information coming along will be very helpful to you in the process, but it may not be the best time right now for you to learn about it. Well, why is it not the right time, Gav? Well, look, it's like this, guys. I want you to, and if you want results, you need to do this too. I want you to go and master the first 4 steps we've just discussed. That could take a couple of weeks. It could take a couple of months. Maybe even a little longer than that. It all depends on how much you commit to it. And when you get a good grip and a good control on those first 4 steps of logging what you eat, compare it, add good foods, remove bad foods, be consistent. When you repeat that cycle over and over again, then further information on, calorie intake, macronutrient breakdowns, gut inflammation, all these things then become relevant. If you jump straight onto that, you're going to get completely overwhelmed by it. Okay? In our next video, we will go on talking about more about calories, calorie counting, gut protocols, inflammation, and intolerances to food. They're all very important and they're very, very helpful stuff. And they're impactful topics as well. But they're only impactful if you have the first section covered. Yeah, but Gav, you barely spoke about my calories. Well, I'm glad you asked, because I want you to see how simple nutrition can be before we hit the need for counting calories. Let me put it like this a little bit. If you're not successful at logging your food, comparing it to a checklist, which that is a form of counting. So for those of you that feel the need, I gotta count something, I gotta have a target, count your checklist, yeah, okay? Adding in good foods, removing or decreasing bad foods, even with like a rough system of portion control, like your handful guide. If we're not doing too well with that, what makes us think that we have a good odds or a good percentage of succeeding with a system that involves formulas, weighing scales, and all those other things that's going to come along with it? So before you get wound up and get your back up, I'm not saying you can't or you won't be successful, because you will. But you'll be more successful for a longer period of time to a greater level if you go and cover your basic steps, build a foundation, and then move on from it. Do what's right for you where you're at. And if you're at the stage now where you are looking for calorie counting for something else, go to the next video or go on to the next step, all right? Because that's where you need to be. This information is irrelevant to you then, to a point. Okay, just get through level 1 first. Like I said, next video, talk about calories, calorie counting. It's all very important. But look at the bottom paragraph here. I want you to think of this like building a house. Steps 1 to 4 are the foundations and the framework. Step 5 and beyond are the designs in each room. And no matter how great your designs may be, if the foundation isn't right, it just won't matter. Alrighty. So, folks, that is us done and dusted. I'm really hoping this actually recorded the whole way. Again, just follow the steps. If you found this video useful and helpful, please do yourself and myself a favor. Share it on all your social media platforms, email it around to people you know, because at the end of the day, the whole goal of this is to help people see how easy and impactful this can be. In terms of how quickly can and should you see success, you'll see a change in your mood and your energy levels pretty much instantly within a 3 to 4 day window. And again, the more you commit, the more you succeed and the more you see. In terms of weight loss, a pound a week is loads, guys. A pound a week is realistic. But I wouldn't be getting on the scales every week. Maybe leave it 2 weeks or every month, okay? Let it build up and give yourself time. If you have a lot of weight to lose, or your goal is to lose a lot of weight, 2, 3, 4 stone, it's gonna take time, my friend. So give yourself time, okay? There's no rush, okay? And if you're in such a hurry, just be more committed. Don't take the shortcut. Go into the roar. But don't go in alone. Bring a friend, bring a family member along on the journey with you. And if that's not going to work, I'm here. The TFW crew are here, right here behind you. You need anything, you get in touch. You come down and see us. Guys, thank you so much for your time. All the best. God bless. Bye bye. Find the stop record button. This is going to run so smoothly.